Call the meeting in order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. August 19, 6:30 evening. May we have roll call, please?
Councilman Hutchinson?
Here.
Councilwoman Pucci? Here. Councilman Blanking?
Here.
Councilman Bowman?
Here.
Councilman Howe?
Here. And I'm here.
Oh,
Have you all looked over any of the reports, and do you have any questions on any of them?
I just have two things I noticed on our treasury report. I'm assuming they're just kind of mixed up line items. On our park statement on utilities, I don't see dam site, which I'm assuming one of these is supposed to be labeled dam site. I'm sure it's just an oversight. I just want to bring it to the attention of our wonderful treasurer. And then on our fire report, I noticed an item that wasn't on last month's report. It's under revenue line item 1475 from payroll for $2,538.22. I'm just curious, did someone pay us money back, or? Under the revenue section.
I'll have to look that up, because it says from payroll.
Yeah, the line item is labeled as from payroll, and it's under revenue for roughly over $2,500. So I didn't know if somebody was paying us money back or what was going on.
No, we should not be paid back. I probably accidentally put in the wrong thing.
No problem.
I do that once in a while.
Thanks, Evan. Just wanted to get some clarification on it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll look into that tomorrow and get that fixed.
Now, there are two things. There's one separate for Dan Site Park, Mike, and there's another one that's separate just for the park.
Oh, now I see it. I'm sorry.
Dan user, point return.
Understood. Thank you. And then, Bill, were you going to go over the thing about the water department or about the folks that came in to do the video that were going to do the replacement?
Sewer department, I can bring that out.
I just,
When we had a company that installed the headworks down at the sewer plant a couple of years ago, and the headworks is basically when the sewage comes from lift station 16, and before it enters, it takes all the solids, basically the whites, the Q-tips, and collects that stuff, so they have to empty that up again. But there's two headworks up there, and one of them, when they put the new one in there, this company that came and videotaped, they're the ones that installed the new system. And with us letting them come in here and videotaping our sewer plant, what they offered us in return is to take that and upgrade the second headworks, we would have to load it up on the truck, okay, get it cleaned up before we send it and send it off to Iowa. They will rebuild it, upgrade it, put a new screw into it and everything else. This unit itself, roughly, I'm just going to take a guess, it's over $200,000. What they're, with us shipping it up, it's 20 foot long, okay, once you get it out of the hole, and it's all stainless steel. We load it up, transport it, all we have to do is pay for transporting it up to the company to get it rebuilt. They will ship it back to us, but we have to pay the shipping. So they would offer rebuilding it free of charge for the access of doing this video that they did.
I read in his letter that it also was gonna, and obviously I don't have an issue with having a $200,000 piece of equipment rebuilt. It does say hours on there of rebuilding that we would be charged for. In the letter that he sent, I'm pretty sure.
Let me double check on that.
And the only thing is, obviously for that type of piece of equipment, that's probably a good thing that we have someone qualified being paid for. We just probably get a clarification on how much that hourly rate is first, because you might get some knucklehead in here that, well, it's $300 for me to change the washer.
Where is it at on that letter? I read the letter and I didn't see that. They gave them instructions on how to clean it before they get it.
In the letter,
What I'm saying is to replace the lower portion of the screw from the old conical screw to the new cylindrical screw, adding a new brush assembly to the screw, replace the screen basket assembly from the old basket to the new style basket, and furnish new seals and gaskets. To perform this rebuild, we ask that the entire Raptor screen be shipped to our fabricator. The shipping costs from our fabricator and the labor to remove and install the screen at the treatment plant is by others. So let me put a question mark on here. I'll get a hold of Mike and make sure that because he had told me that we just had to pay the shipping cost.
Okay,
yeah, but I mean, that's a good point. And we're just basically taking a guess at the unit itself is like 1,700 pounds. So it's going to have a shipping company to take it up there, and he roughly got an estimate about $1,300 to ship it up there. Okay, and then we'd have to pay to ship it back. So I'll double check on that and make sure we get some good figures on it.
Thank you. That's all I
I had a quick question for Chief Tab.
Yes.
First of all, I found it really helpful to have those officer activity logs. I believe that's the first time I've seen one of those, and that it actually is helpful to understand what is going on as far as what our officers are doing all day. So thanks for including that in your report.
This activity log is just the last day of the
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
That shows the overall stats for that month.
But it was just helpful to have to understand, in general, what they're doing. And just from my own understanding, what is a building check? Is that like checking a retail building or what is?
Yes, so at night, after hours, going to the building, walking around it, checking, make sure the doors are locked, no windows have been broken,
Okay.
nobody's messed with anything, everything's secure the way it's supposed to be.
All right, that's what I thought. So that, everything else I knew said on there, I didn't understand that for sure. All right, thanks. But yeah, I do like those logs. That was helpful. Thank you.
Keith Matt, just a quick question. You're been in about a month now. How's everything going? Feel good? Is there anything as a council or a community we can do to help you out more?
Everything seems to be going very well. Trying to just sort through everything and take a day at a time.
I just want to let you know a lot of people have approached me personally and said that you're doing a great job.
Good.
Please keep it up, and if there's anything we can do as a council or a community, please don't hesitate.
Thank you.
Any questions with the street department at all, or, we had, worked at Dam Site Park. How many trees did we take down, Bill? There were 4 trees, and how many trims? 28 trims?
28 trims.
And, then we, got another permit for Dan Huser Park, and we got a permit for
48 trees we taken down.
48 trees
Three
dead.
dead.
Okay, and what is it, 4 trims or
48 cut down to 23 trim.
23 trims? So, hopefully we'll have that done before Jam. If not, we're gonna try to, get the primary areas first and take care of it that way. Is that stuff gonna be mulched up into the big community mulch pile over by the recycle place, or what's
The branches can be less.
Okay, all right. Any questions to the Parks Committee?
No, but I would like everyone to know we did get our $100,000 from Parks Grant submitted last week. It's in, so say your prayers, contact your representatives, tell them we need that money. If you have any connections to the governor, go ahead and flex those right now.
Any questions to the planning and zoning? All right, let's move on. Council member comments, anything?
I have something about the budget committee. The budget committee will be meeting Tuesday, the last Tuesday this month, on the 26th, starts on Tuesday, 2 to 5 p.m., and then Tuesday, September 2nd, that's a regular meeting, and then Tuesday at the end of the month, 30th. But in between those 2 budget meetings in September, we'll be going over the line items and actually getting the numbers as correct as we can, because they haven't been up to this time. They're always getting moved around, and the new system hasn't really worked as beautifully as predicted. And then, so we'll put in the time and have the line items actually so although the draft for 2026, or the actual numbers that are by the end of the month. Because in October, at some date, we'll have a public hearing and we'll present the budget at that time, which we'll let you know, of course, the date.
Any other council? I know we're gonna go back to the treasurer's report and council. If you had any questions on, council minutes in July? Any questions on those? Any questions on the treasurer's report? Other than the ones Mike already brought up?
Only that, I don't know if Paula still feels confident about the numbers to present. Are you giving the treasurer report like turned down so that they're as accurate, or some of the numbers you're not really confident still that they're correct?
There's gonna be a couple that are not correct, but everything is much, much closer now in Siesta.
As far as knowing our expenses, okay, we know them. As far as putting them in the right line item, that's our difficulty right now. And we are making, Paul and I have already done 4, actually. We worked on parks today and Dan Sake Park. And the thing is, the previous budget that we had didn't have a lot of those line items where we're kind of trying to define them, separate them even more. So trying to put those numbers in the appropriate park is where we're having the changes being done. Okay, old business is ordinance 2025-09. It's up for second and third reading. Any questions on that?
I missed one thing, we need to circle back over a second.
Yeah.
I just want to bring up a grant that I'm interested in approaching. Obviously, it's something that we have to talk to the community about as well as us, and there's some people in the crowd that can have a better understanding than I. Obviously, we are in the direct line now of hazardous weather. All weather agencies are saying that we are now officially in the heart of Tornado Valley, our section of the state. We had an issue, it was a year or 2 ago now, where a severe storm came through. We had Boy Scouts at Dam Park. Right now, the state's getting ready to open up a hazard mitigation grant. It's a part of the grant list that Bill sent over to us about a month or 2 ago. It's a 75-25 matching grant up to $300,000. We're getting to the point where we can't always rely on KKLO, and I think it would probably be in the best interest for us maybe to start exploring costs and the measures it would take to get a tornado siren. We had a serious straight line company today that tore the roof off the building, caused some havoc out at the boat dock, and we don't want to end up in a situation like Kerrville, Texas, where loss of life could have been mitigated thanks to the warning system. So I'm going to be looking into it more. I obviously need to bring it up in minutes before we can do anything with it. But I think you, Lynn, had brought it up, the cost the last time we looked into it. Do you remember a ballpark? Obviously, it's going to be different cost, but do you remember a ballpark number?
No, I don't, but I remember them saying that it possibly would be 3 sites.
Okay.
And, I think it's 45. So that's.
Is that first timers or?
45.
Well, this grant is up to $300,000, it looks like. Obviously, we probably wouldn't need that whole thing. I understand the software costs that come along with it too. I think you previously
I think
mentioned.
that's the expensive part.
Okay.
Keep updating it.
Well, so we have it on minutes. I'm going to start digging into it a little bit more and have some more information for you guys in the future. But we're getting to a point where we have to be realistic that we're going to be an outdoor rec. Excuse me, let me rephrase this. Be realistic that we are an outdoor recreation community, and being able to alarm campers, community members alike is a great way to save a catastrophe in the future. Just throwing that out there. Obviously, it will cost some amount of money, but once again, how do we put a price on it?
One of the things we can think about for that problem or that issue is something that a friend of mine lives in a very rural community in Texas. They just did was they got a grant, and what they did, rather than try to have enough sirens that everybody could hear, they bought everybody in the community a weather radio, a weather alert radio that all they had to do was literally plug it in, and that was it. It just sat in the kitchen or wherever they wanted to put it. And then as far as they were for handling campgrounds and things like that, most of the campgrounds like Dam Park have a caretaker or someone there, and they made sure that that person had a radio, because what they found for doing the alarm or the siren system was the software was what killed them. they could afford to buy the sirens, they could afford to do all that, they couldn't afford to maintain it. And then all of a sudden, somebody just said, well, how about a $39 weather radio from, Radio Shack or whatever, and they ended up finding a vendor that would sell them to them really cheap if they bought X amount of them, and so they just literally bought one for everybody, every household in the city, and they've been real happy with it. It went through that storm that you were talking about in Texas, and it worked perfectly. The system did.
Did
So
they got grant funding for it?
they got a grant for the city to use the money for that purpose. It didn't say how to use it. It could have been used for sirens or anything. They didn't, and the way that they justified it was, these radios cannot play music or anything. It is simply a weather radio, that's it. It doesn't do anything else. And it just sits in the corner quietly until that area has a warning, and then it goes
It
off.
goes off involuntarily.
It goes off involuntarily. All you have to do is plug it in. It doesn't run on batteries or anything. You just plug the thing in, and it has the battery backup so that if the power does go out, it stays on for 8 hours.
Back in 2015, we tried to do that, and the fire department was handing out those radios.
Okay.
Okay. It is the cheaper way, and one of the things you're gonna have to look at, okay, is what St. Louis is going through right now with the tornado that hit them. They're seeing that FEMA's dropping the ball, or, got all kinds of issues, and a lot more lawsuits are coming out because they didn't get enough time in a warning for it. So who's gonna be doing this warning? Is it gonna be the sheriff's responsibility? Is it gonna be our fire department's responsibility? So these are all questions that we're gonna have to find out.
I just, we had 2 storms this year where I misjudged the radar coming from Mount Home that ended up underneath some random person's household carport. They didn't come out and shoot me while I was trying not to get killed by a tornado, but.
Yeah, we had a company come in here in 2015, and we went up to the tower, went all the way up to the top. Okay, we still had access to it, and wanted to put one up there. Okay, that would cover the whole town, but these people said, no, you're gonna have to put 5 to 6 of them up. But that was back in 15.
And then the next thing I have is when and if have we had a traffic study done on Old Shoulders? Does anyone know?
They just had one up below my house. I don't know what it was for, but they put it up maybe a month ago.
So one of the things I want to start tackling on the tourism side of things is how do we encourage entrepreneurs, businesses, even with our ALS building situation, putting together numbers to show people the kind of traffic that we actually get through our town. And I know we can get the counters for free, basically rented to it, so I think it'd be a good idea. Maybe this month isn't the best time to start. Maybe we be a little bit more proactive next year when we see a few more cars coming through. But I think it's a good idea for us to start putting together this sort of data so that when the time comes, whether we're trying to pitch the ALS building or entice other businesses, so we have actual data. How many people are coming through our town? So, just an idea.
Anyway, I believe, or could be wrong, but the contact or not, they actually have a list. I don't know how far it goes back, but we'll have, they put them counters out all the time, we'll have. So it'll go back several years. I'm not positive it's gonna come in. But, yeah,
About 6 months ago, RDOT did a study that labeled Ranger boats, this size Ranger boats, 4,000 cars a day. So,
Cool. Yeah, see, that's the kind of data that's going to help us lift up businesses and make things more approachable for when we have people come through town and they see an empty storefront and they go, how many people do we really got coming through this town? Are we going to be able to have a business here?
RDOT actually has a website, you just go to RDOT, you go to Marion County, and then they're just, or Arkansas actually just a bunch of dots on the map, and you can zoom in on it, and the last time I looked at it, it was like either two
2,000, I hope I'm not speaking. The interesting thing is, like across the dam in Lakeview, right at the dam, it was 2,000. If you went like 100 yards and caught the traffic into the park, it was like 3,500.
Yeah.
So because it was kind of isolated, so you could probably Google that and get on that.
Well, with the state farm.
But they only do it once a year, and they won't tell you what time of year they do it, so, I mean, it's valuable.
Cool. That's all I got. Sorry to hold you.
No problem. And we got, as far as old business, we got, anybody got anything else before we move on? Okay, ordinance 2025-09 is up for second and third reading, and ordinance 2025-11 is up for second and third reading. One's for short-term rentals, and the other one is the sewer deposit fees, which are returnable once you move out. New business ordinance 2025-12 on clean premises. If you have any questions on that, I sent this off to Will King, our city attorney, and he responded back, made a few changes, and that's where I stood at now. Before I read it again, we got changes, so let's talk about it.
Briefly, I appreciate that it is edited down to 2 pages, and a lot of the verbiage is softened. So I really appreciate that, because the citizens were, they had to hear it, and I thought it was a little too HOA too. So I appreciate the edits. They worked out again.
And I have, okay, it's my turn. I need to make some comments. I want everyone to know that according to the ordinance, this is all the taller your weeds are allowed to be. This is all the taller your no lawn is allowed to be by this ordinance, 10 inches. And I had to tell the city worker, street guy, that I'm not going to point fingers and grouch at people. Folks, this ain't 10 inches. And this is off the city property. So I have a hard time with an ordinance that says that we have to do this, and I'm going to tell all you people you have to do this. And if not, the city can close your property, they can come over, they can mow your lawn, they can weed your flower bed, they can do all this, they can put leaves at your home for it. You could end up in front of a judge getting charged up to $1,000 fine. It can be multiple of days. And just to check out to see what I was going to find as I drove here today, I drove from my house on my little street there, and I drove past a house that needs this ordinance. It really does. It's 211 Alfred Drive. The lawn has not been mowed in almost 2.5 years. The tree that fell down 1.5 years ago is still laying on the property. The court hasn't done nothing. The drainage ditch is full of weeds and everything, and when it backs up, it overflows the street down the hill, and then the water lays stagnant in there until it evaporates. We need the ordinance for that, but at the same time, folks, coming here tonight, I counted 20 citable properties on Alfred Drive and on 178 coming here. 20 citable properties. I'm having no problem with an ordinance that puts that much restriction on people that I can find 20 reasons to write citations before I get here in a 3-mile drive. And that's my point on it. I agree we need something because it was written for a reason. It was written because we have people that won't or can't maintain their properties. 211 Alfred Drive is a perfect description of that. But at the same time, we also have people that are trying but can't. And I'm going to be 100% honest with everyone right now because I talked to the chief about it as he drove in front of my house the other day. Mine would be the first house to get cited. And I have to be honest.
We do door hangers first.
We do door hangers first. But the truth is that 10 inches is so rigid that they can get you for almost about anything. And like I said, 20 houses between here and there. 20 houses, not only residential, but also commercial.
But I think Mike brings up a good point, is we do door hangers first, and without an ordinance that has some teeth to it, the door hangers don't do any good, I don't believe. I mean,
So far, most of it, there's only a handful of door hangers that have gone unanswered.
right.
For the most part, when I put out a door hanger, I knock on a door and talk to somebody, it's usually rectified within 5 days.
Right.
I've not had anybody other than one particular business that did not do it within a week's time.
And I can agree with you 100%, because, you know, obviously I got roasted for having some weeds in the back of my business, which I promptly went and took care of. And I'm way under the limit of time. I didn't even get a door hanger for it. I just got a nasty amount of a post on Facebook about it. But, you know, maybe get used to it. But I think that without, you know, the ordinance has been pared down. And I think without some kind of ordinance in place, the door hangers are pointless. And obviously compliance is pretty great coming from the chief. So I'm not sure that I see where this is draconian, and I don't think. Right, minus a couple, but I mean a higher percentage. And I don't really see the judge finding somebody $1,000 for an 11-inch weed in their yard. You know, I mean, I think that they're getting some common sense in there. Could she do it? Yeah, probably. Will she do it? I seriously doubt that. So I'm not sure that the sky is quite falling yet with this ordinance. I mean, I think the new rewritten ordinance is gives you a lot more room to maneuver. But there has to be an end game. Otherwise, it just keeps on and on and on. And, you know, 211 offers as an aberration. Bringing that up as an example is a bit unfair, because there's not many properties that are that problematic in the city. I would venture to say that's the most problematic property we have right now in the village.
Check this kitchen search, by the way. Absolutely not.
So, I think the door hangers are our stopgap here. Before things get bad, I think the door hangers are fair. I think they give you enough time to do something, and maybe it lights a fire underneath people a little bit. And I know for a fact, because I've been on these crews, that if there is truly somebody in this community that cannot do this, cannot cut their weeds and take care of their lawn, that there are people in this community that will band together, and I'm looking at one of them right now, and I'm looking at another one right now, that will go out and mow grass, and there will be people that will volunteer to go into people's houses and literally clean their houses for them if they need it. So there are resources available that are not city resources, that are not paid for. They're just good citizens that want to help people that legitimately can't get it done. So I think between the door hangers and the citizens of this community, I think we need to have something in place that we can fall back on for people that are just being belligerent, that are just doing it, that are just purposely sticking their thumb in their nose at the city and saying, come and get me, make me do it. And we have to be able to make them do it.
And to Councilman Mike's point, the original draft, it's no secret I wasn't a big fan of it. I did go through and look at clippings, and they're still having a hard time with their properties over there. They're doing stuff. They've initiated some incentive programs. They have yard of the month, which I'm not saying to do that. That's a little bit too corny for my taste. But this new version, after reading it, as Councilman Lucy said, it's a lot cleaner and a lot less infringing on rights. But we do need to make sure that we're leading by example. Yes. So I'm with you on that.
Okay, I'll speak to this. I'm the one who's been pushing this with the mayor, and
it's, I'll take the blame for having a half an hour meeting of the work, which is too much. So we pared it down, we're basically talking about grass in the yard now. And we do have an ordinance, it's called 2008-02, that's the one we're working on right now. It's almost reads word for word for the current ordinance that we're trying to pass. The difference that we did with it was about the grass up to the yard, up to the road. And I've been talking to several people, I've lived in a lot of different places. We always mowed our yard to the street, always. I've never been anywhere where you could get away with not mowing, even if you had a sidewalk. You have to mow the yard from the sidewalk to the street in almost every city that I've ever lived in. So that the changes that I see that we made, we did pare it down, we're just talking about grass. We did do something about the grass from the yard to the street, which I think is the most important thing about Main Street. And I did talk to the RDOT people when they came and mowed finally, and it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. They're kind of just doing that as a favor, because I don't think, am I correct? They didn't even have an easement in the city of Old Shoals. They weren't even involved with the sidewalk that we put in. They didn't care about that. So, and if I'm mistaken, we're not, as a city, we're not allowed to even mow that. Is that right, Bill? Like
They don't want us mowing
They
it.
don't want, yeah, but the state of
It's
Arkansas.
it's their prescriptive easement.
It's kind of crazy. So I don't think it's too much to ask for anyone to mow their grass up to the street and to keep the ditch clean. And that's the difference between the 2008 and the new one, is we're specifically saying that you need to do that. The other difference that we put in here from that other ordinance from Clifton was about, like if you have a vacant lot, and there's a lot of vacant lots in town, and they're just trees, and I have a vacant lot next to my house. If I did anything to that lot, like rake leaves or anything, even a quarter of it, it's gonna grow, the weeds are gonna grow like crazy, and then I'm gonna have to mow it. So if you have a lot that hasn't been improved, just natural forest that God put in there 1 million years ago, then you're not required to maintain it as far as, is that right?
Right.
You're not required to do anything to it, because you didn't do anything to start with. But once you improve that lot, you burn it, you rake it, well, there's a lot on the curve down here, the big curve, you go around that way, and then there's a lot on the corner right by your house. They cleaned that whole thing out, right?
They cleaned that out a year ago.
And speak to that, please, because it's a freaking mess.
Yeah.
I mean, if they'd have left it alone, it looked better then than when they tried to do something to it. So you cannot do that to your property.
And it's actually dangerous because it depends on what type of car, vehicle you have, and how tall you are. But I have a friend who's short, and she can't see around that corner because the weeds are so high.
And I'd ask Chief Fab to speak about the judge and how the judge works. The other thing we changed in here was that we noticed in the previous ordinance, it said nothing about the judge. Now, as council members and police officers and people who work for the city, we can write these things and pass these things, but we have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the fine that is involved in this. So I'd like to have Chief Patrick to speak about how the process would work in a courtroom setting, because he's been here about a year, and you've been at a lot of courtrooms, right? And I've been to a couple, but not as an observer. In the back. Go ahead. Thank you.
Over the course of many years, yes, in the court. So what usually happens is if a citation actually gets written, they have a couple of options. They can come to court and fight it, or come up and pay their fine ahead of time. If they come to court and fight it, the very first court date is on the arraignment, meaning the judge says, are you guilty or are you not guilty? After that, it gets put off for another month. All right? So throughout all this time, if they say, no, I'm not guilty, I have proof that I've done this, and this, whatever, it gets put off for a month. All right? And then during that time, if they're mowing their yard, they're keeping everything up, and they've got pictures of what they're doing, and they bring it to court, the judge can throw it out. The judge can set the fine high, low, whatever the judge deems fit, because if it's, let's just say somebody that's trying to stick their thumb in their nose at both souls and say, make me, the judge can do what she feels fit for that case. Or if it's somebody that truly has fallen on hard times, can't do this or that, she can award them extra time to get it done, pay court costs, whatever. She has the final say so in any cases. But I can say in the past year, I've had seen this many, city ordinance other than hazardous driving come through the court system.
No code violations as long as you've been here.
Other than this is hazardous driving.
But in front of the judge, then, if it's in the open.
Is that?
Thank you. Thank you.
And to add to that, this is out of the state law book, the ACA, the $1,000. We didn't, pull this out of the hat, this is what's in the book. As far as your question on your 10 inches, do you want to raise that, or do you want to?
The old one says 12.
Right.
I'll give you 2 more inches. That's what this one says. We've been working on this since 2008. I know. So, but we haven't.
And don't get me wrong.
We haven't.
I appreciate
It's here. We haven't
this
enforced it.
stuff.
We haven't enforced it.
Including the fact that we have people out here in the community that spend an awful lot of time. You come in here at night because you care about your city. And we got people here trying to run their own businesses, start their own businesses, people driving around on flatbed trucks and trailers, cleaning up other people's mess, taking over their property and burning. That's being done here. It's great, but we also, like you pointed out, we have people that either can't, don't even live in the community, they don't care, they don't want the city to thrive, and that's who this ordinance is being pointed at, and I understand that. It's not just 211. We have several houses over here on Bennington and stuff that are in bad shape. And I understand all that. I just, like I said, I found 20 houses that could be cited. Not that they would be, but they could be, and at the same time, I have a hard time supporting an ordinance targeted at a few that could be used against the law. That's my opinion on it. Thank you.
I would just like to get a good feeling, at the next council meeting, if we feel like there's enough of us that agree with the ordinance.
I mean, if I can get I don't think we can do that here.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Just basically, if there's changes to be made,
Yeah,
then that's zero time.
Does anybody want to make changes with the ordinance that was presented this evening?
I think you guys ended up appropriate.
We're open to suggestions. It's not like we're trying to push this, but what I'm also trying to do is just think about it this way. I mean, a lot of people complain about it, nothing gets done. And in the long run, this is going to improve everybody's property value. It's going to improve people who come to the town, and our town is cleaned up. It's going to improve a better impression. We're going to have more businesses that are going to come in here if our town is cleaner. That's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to pick on anybody or make anybody pay $1,000 fine. I've been at the court several times, and the judge has been more superior. She always helps people do whatever they need to do, and I just don't see her even finding people. I mean, that's up to her. We have no say. She does whatever she wants to do.
Move fast enough.
No.
You can
Hold on.
Well, we're going to, before you go ahead there,
You can comment after. Thank you.
I submitted some changes to the mayor on this, and they were, a lot of them were just grammar changes, I guess. I don't know how to put that. And it looks like they haven't been incorporated into what we're looking at now on our tablet. And rather than bore everybody in the audience with all these changes, I think maybe what would be the smartest move for me to do would be to submit these to everybody on the council to look at. And then Thursday, when we meet for the actual council meeting, we can talk about them or incorporate them or not incorporate them. And these were all changes that I came up with, working with some citizens that were definitely concerned about the first reading of the ordinance. And I thought they were pretty sensible changes. There's not a lot of them, but I thought they were pretty sensible changes. It would be hard to go.
Hey, you sent that to the city attorney also.
Susan, yeah, went to the city attorney. Did that come back?
Nothing came back.
Okay.
So I don't know.
So I would say at this point, I'll wait till the city attorney answers and we'll find out. And then if he's good with, if he says these are legitimate changes that we can actually make, then I'll get copies to everybody on the council to look at before Thursday.
I think that's a procedural thing.
Right.
If you remember with the last ordinance, you said, don't talk to each other about it.
Right.
And-
Right, well, that's what.
Don't send me any.
No, I mean, after he approves,
What you're saying is, when he answers your email, he'll either, text an answer back to you or
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
And then, I'll put it on the tablet so that all.
Perfect, that was my point. Okay, I'm done.
Any more on that? Okay, resolution 2825, R13, 211 Alford. This is a procedural, deal that we have to do. We're finally getting all our eggs, or ducks in a row on this, and this is something that, our city attorney has looked over. We have notified, one of the owners, okay, when she was at the jailhouse, okay? And the other party that is involved in this, it went through a divorce, but it was never finalized by the lawyers. The lawyers didn't have enough money apparently to finalize it in a divorce decree, so it was never filed, where she is the sole owner of the property and he is the sole owner of the property in Yellowville. So with that being said, this resolution, then we have notified one of the owners. We just received a registered letter, return last known address of the second owner. We are following every bit of the law that is required to do it. So we've made contact with one officially, the other one, we don't know where he's at, but we're fulfilling what is required by us, by the state law. So that's what this resolution is about. Do you guys have any questions on it?
I wanted to say, in case you don't know, it's 14 pages long. A lot of work went into this to try to address the legal complexity with these owners that are, like what you just said. So I appreciate that the attorney has looked this over, and the work that went into this one property. It goes to show you how it's sort of an abandoned property, and you drive around and see how much work went into this one property. I want to say thank you for doing this work.
It was a lot of work, and I think the resolution is basically like 2 pages is what we're required to do in a public forum, and then the rest of the documentation that's on there is what we would record at the courthouse. So what would happen if someone bought it, or if it actually made it to the tax sale, then the title company would pull all this information up, and they could see that we did a really good job of verifying everything, and the paperwork's all in order, and then they would call the city and just verify that this is a real lien that we put on the property. And this just goes to prove how difficult it is to fix these vacant properties. It's a lot of work, and what I'd like to see is for us to start a file on this, and so with the next council, 5 years, 10 years, we'll have something to go by, and we can shoot in the dark. This has been a long process. And that tree fell onto the house a year and a half ago. So here we are. Good work, King.
Okay, updates on the new property of the city.
I can talk a little bit about the equipment being moved out of the upper building in ALF. We have all of it correct. We've received payment for the equipment. Okay, so we have received payment for the equipment. The new owners of the equipment have been here. They talked to Phil about removing the wall and getting the machinery out of there. They have been here moving out smaller items, cataloging things. trying to get the mess cleared up that I didn't get to. Thankfully, they bought it before I had to finish, because it's pretty thankless work up there with no air conditioner. So they have been here twice. I have not heard, have you
Better
heard?
one more time to get the two machines out.
Okay,
They
okay,
are coming back one more time to get those two machines out.
yeah.
That's what he told me.
They want to do it all in one fell swoop, because they have to run a bunch of equipment to get the stuff out of there.
We don't
So-
have to help them anymore.
Right, we don't have to do
We're ready
anything.
to get them out.
Yeah, but he's bringing a piece of equipment, boom,
Yeah,
that levels it all, yeah, okay, so he'll be able to pull that out and then.
and hopefully next week was their target. That was the last conversation I had with them. And Phil's crew did a great job cleaning away all the brush from the wall that comes out, so the wall that comes out now can actually come out. And it'll be replaced once it does come out, it'll be put back in. The one issue that we are having is trash. We have to figure out a way to get rid of all the trash. And, at this point, I think, what we've come up with is,
Almost 4,000, almost 7,000.
yeah,
For the officer.
yeah, so we're
They
not.
have to bring it, and then they charge us to take it back.
Right. So that's obviously not gonna happen. So what we're gonna do is, I think at this point, what we're gonna do is kind of, unfortunately, make a pile of trash behind the building. Well, no, I wouldn't think so. There's a lot of stuff in there that's not burnable.
We're gonna separate between copper and metal.
Yeah, they're gonna separate.
We can sell the plywood, copper, and turn it in.
And then the stuff that doesn't get taken out of there, I may be able to deal with on a personal level, because I'm renting a dumpster to clear out a building that I just purchased. And I may be able to talk the dumpster guy into moving it to 2 locations. And I may be able to take care of that, just, and donate that to the city. But at this point, it looks like next week, the majority of that stuff will be out of there. On next week, Thursday, when you come to council on your tablet, you'll have a photo inventory of everything that is in the lower building that we can now sell. I'll get all those, descriptions typed up, and it'll be like a little, basically like a little catalog.
So they didn't buy the blower.
All they bought, that $4,000, was everything in the upper building. They bought nothing in the lower building. So we still have a lot of merchandise down there that we can sell.
There's 3 machines,
Right.
tools, and everything that was in there.
Yeah, so that's all they bought. So everything in the lower building that I perceived had more than a $50 value, I photographed. And I cataloged all the model numbers, serial numbers, everything that had a serial number or model number I wrote down. And we'll have that as you'll be able to see what I actually produced. And that should be very easy to take into, is it gov.com, or what's that place where we sell stuff? So, but you will know when you vote to surplus this stuff, exactly what you're voting to surplus.
So, I guess my next question is just, and I'm not rushing anyone, thank you for your hard work on this, and sweating your ass off. Are we looking at a timeline whereas we might be within the empty building by spring?
I would hope so, yeah. I mean, once we can surplus it, the way that I've understood this, watching it happen, is once we can surplus this stuff, we can put it up on a website and start to sell it. And there's good stuff. There's 4 or 5 or 6 really nice printers. There's 2 or 3 decent laptops.
It'd be my recommendation in order to get that building cleared up, that we don't try and squeeze every dollar out of it, and offer some real deal busters, so
Yeah.
we can just get done and we can start hopefully
Right.
producing income or moving forward with what we're gonna do with the
But
building.
the first step for all of it was to at least understand what we had and have some decent photographs of it so it didn't look like it was garbage. I tried to clean the stuff up, make it look nice. When we had printers, I tried to find all the printer cords so that we could actually do that, And I think that there is some value in there, but I agree with you. A laptop that is 5 years old isn't worth a lot of money. It's worth something, but you can't sell it until you have a picture of it and a description of it. And that's what we have now, that's what you will have on Thursday. And, you know, at least we'll have an idea of where we're going. I know everybody was disappointed we didn't get more money for the machinery, but that didn't count anything in the lower building. So we're still gonna have money coming in. We're still gonna get that cleaned out. But again, just like the upper building, we're gonna have a trash problem. Because there is mountains of empty containers of, you know, Chief Bad's already holding his head, he knows.
You've been Phil for years tackling this. Phil, the prices on the dumpsters, were those from two separate companies or two different sizes of dumpsters?
Two different buildings.
Yeah.
And they were looking for a 15-yard, that's all they wanted.
Yeah, they didn't want it.
15 yards.
And when I purchased the building, I purchased, as part of the purchase of the building, the seller agreed to provide me with a dumpster for 2 weeks. So all I need to do is con the dumpster guy and move it from one place to another, and then we can kind of deal with that. But, because I know I'm not gonna fill it up. But that's in the future, unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to do that right now, but that's in the works, so hopefully that'll work out.
And I've talked to Phil, where, we have 3 other dumpsters that the city rents out, so between all of them, it'll take us, you know, a couple weeks, but we'll get them taken care of. Okay, next thing on was, damage to the city culvert on our alleyway by Bush's Pizza and the old, auto shop there. The, culvert is a 24-inch inner diameter concrete culvert. It has 3-inch walls, okay, and it's 4 foot long. It is totally has been collapsed. Now, I, you know, just learned about this after they moved out of, the auto shop there. So I don't know who did the damage, but it's completely gone. Top.
Do you think it's a recent thing or something?
Oh, it's definitely recent. I mean, it used to have a little hole about 2 inches by 4 inches. This thing has totally collapsed inside, so it is roughly 12 to 14 inches wide, okay, by 4 foot. And the piece is still inside that culvert. But right now, someone put some skids around it so no one would drive over it. Okay? And to correct that, we would have to get a 30-foot culvert, okay, to go across or underneath that alleyway. But it has to be a 30-inch culvert that we could slide over the concrete one that's there and make a connection with some concrete and that and seal it up and take it out to the ditch line. But the culvert itself is $1,700. And that's
Like
being
the property owner.
Yeah. But see, it's it's already been out there on Facebook, and we're trying to take care of our city council.
I'm kidding.
Just so everybody understands what the joke is here, I bought that building. The culvert is in the alley. It is a city culvert. It is clearly in the alley. I've been accused of manipulating the council to get them to fix this. None of it, obviously none of it is true. It's, you know, the anonymous, you know, Facebook posters. But I am sensitive to the fact that it is behind my building. I get it. And it does look like, you know, I'm getting some kind of special treatment. That part I don't really get, because if somebody drives down that alley and their car falls in that, the city's going to be in trouble for it. It's on city property. It's well known that it's a problem. It needs to get fixed.
I'd like to reiterate that was just a joke.
I know, but a little sensitive joke because, you know, amongst all the other accusations about my misdeeds. So that's what everybody's, you know, laughing about. But it is not on my property. you know, I want it fixed, obviously, because it's behind a property that I do plan on turning into a business where there is gonna be traffic.
Well, there's a bunch of business too, you know.
And it was most definitely a city property.
Is that something that the city could do? We have to farm this out?
No, we can do it ourselves.
Is it a square culvert?
I can teach Phil anything. Next on the agenda is council, you need to fill, seat, Ward 1 at the next council meeting. So, I have sent out on the tablet, resumes that we have received for that position. And if there's anybody else out there, you have to be a registered voter and you have to live in that ward for this seat. So if you want to participate and be on the council, please submit a resume so that the council can look it over and make a decision. What's that?
How many have you received?
One.
Okay.
We're sitting with one right now.
Mayor, what's the deadline? Is there a deadline or how does that work?
Before the council meeting, that's the only time that they can be appointed at the council meeting.
So up to that time or even
Yeah.
at that meeting?
So, missed out on $92 a month, guys. 96 seconds, yeah.
Citizens' comments? The chancellor,
Yeah,
come on up to the podium and state your name and address.
Dan Coyle, 902 Walnut Avenue, down here on the corner about a block away.
You want to turn the mic on?
Just push that button.
There you go.
You're on.
You're on.
Yeah, I've been here about it. My wife, I moved here about a year and a half ago, and a lot of things you guys are talking about, I'm like, I've got an idea for that, I've got an idea for that. And, just like, are the realtors responsible for any of the properties that the folks don't happen to live there? Are they responsible for keeping that lot clean?
They are not specifically in their contracts, because I just had a discussion with a realtor friend about this, because they were mad at them for not maintaining the property, but in most of the realtors that dealt with this in the past, in the print, it says they're not responsible for the maintenance.
Why can't we do something about that? Because they're making a lot of money off that property, so.
Right.
You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, but they don't own it. Yeah, they don't rent it, they don't own it, they don't have a lien
Well,
for it.
can we do some kind of stipulation or whatever where they sell it, they pay for that?
Well, and the next,
You see where I'm going
it's
with
going to
that?
fall back on the owner of the property. That falls under that ordinance. If it's managed by someone, it's going to fall under that property manager, okay, to maintain that property. So that's in that ordinance. So there's ways to go after it. The realtors aren't really the owners, they're not the property managers.
Right, yeah, I understand that, but that's not a solution to the problem. Like, that needs to be taken care of anyway. The reason I came up here is I went down to the library the other day, I noticed the American flag was shredded. Okay, that's not anybody's responsibility if it comes to turn out. So before the 28th, before we have another meeting, I'm gonna go replace that flag myself. And it's kind of, I think we're all living in America, and I'm a little bit ashamed to think that everybody would let that flag go this long. And
Did you step by the VFW? I know we
I'm
talked about a week ago.
VFW all the time.
The VFW,
Well, the Boy Scouts are the ones that make the big thing about it, and I'm, between now and the 28th, I'll be back up here for that one. I'm gonna see if I can get a hold of the Boy Scouts, but I'm gonna make sure that flag gets changed, even though it's not anybody's responsibility here in the city. So I'd like to look around now, I want to know, return point part, is that where our
Part return.
Is that gonna be, or is that part of the money for that? It's gonna be
Look,
tough
there
there.
are $100,000 grant specifically for dam site park renovation.
What are we doing with that part?
Point return park is our primitive point return, where our primitive camping is, the fiber optic piece, where you're returning.
It's looking pretty primitive with it.
One thing at a time.
Right, I know it's not that big of an effort to try to get some of this stuff cleaned up. Another thing I'd like to see, can we do something about maybe getting more control of the litter going on? You go to the old park over there, trash and garbage, when I go down there to go fishing, I take out more than I take in. Can we do something more about the litter here around Bull Shoals? I really appreciate it. Because I do what I can. And remember the park over there, there's a trash pile laying over there. I'm like, you know what, this is a little bit too big for me to pick up. People are going out there, maybe we need to keep an eye on litters or doing this stuff. And that's where I would like to see $1,000 to charge those people. Because the rest of us like to go down there and go fishing, take our family, go swimming. I don't want to walk through garbage, and beer cans and stuff laying along the water. That's all I got to say.
Can I ask you a question before you leave?
Sure.
And this might sound sarcastic, and it's not at all meant that way. Would you like to?
I'm a veteran, I've got a
Would you like to be part of the Parks Committee and help us work on some of this?
When I'm here, I would.
Okay.
I would love to. It feels like I can walk up here. I'll get my.
When you say that the Parks Committee, could we use another member on the committee? Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I those are great ideas, and it's nice to see somebody motivated to want to help. And, you know,
I want to see, I'll tell you, we came up here a year and a half ago. We moved up here from Florida. It got crazy down there anyway. We were over to Cotter. And to see what's happened in Cotter, Arkansas, over the last year, my goodness, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
That little town is beautiful. From the time that I first came up here, I came up here 8 years ago on vacation to get out of gas and all that. Cotter, you know, can we find out what they did to do that?
Oh,
They came together as a community.
They came together as a community, and that's exactly what we're trying to do.
And I talked to Russ about that the other day, and I thought I'd like to see here.
And
It'd be great.
so we would love to have you on the Parks Committee. I'm on the Parks Committee. We'd love to have you to, you know, you don't have to be there all the time. You can just, you know, but you sound motivated. And that's what happened in Cotter with people like you.
Well, I don't know how much motivated, I just like to live in a nice area.
Well, that's the kind of motivation we need.
Thank you.
And more citizens' comments? Dan? He took a long way.
Dan Caldwell, City Inspector, Building Official, whatever you want to call it.
So far as the paperwork to get we started condemning some property, I'm condemning incorporated, I am ready to condemn. I did speak to someone else in another city today, Mayor, and it's a tough thing to condemn houses or property on Main Street, or on the left, if you know, on Main Street. Anyway, the Bell Arco thing, you know, that worked out. Or is it, I know it's not on the agenda, but is it worked out now?
As far as I know, it's not.
It's not worked out.
It's being worked on.
Okay. I got a letter here. I don't know who the citizen was, but it's coming from mail. And I'd like to read it to you.
Is it anonymous?
It's anonymous.
Yeah.
Now, they're reading, I'm
It's not working. The only thing I got was Woodstone. I didn't get an address or anything. But I know this guy is, he's, from what I gather about this letter, he's trying to undermine Section 8. He's trying.
Unfortunately, Mr. Caldwell, this council holds no bearing on anonymous letters.
Gotcha.
We don't accept them or entertain them. We have enough of that garbage going on in this town. If you can't put your name to it, I don't want to hear it.
I understand that. And two, this city's got to come together. We just like covered, like the citizens, everybody. I want this city to grow. That's the reason I come out of retirement.
see the city, not grow to be glancing or nothing, but, you know, at least come down Main Street and see a beautiful area, you know, because people do pass through here. And if you're a naysayer and you don't want this town to grow, stay home and shut up. I mean, really. That's basically it, you know. I'm not sick of the naysayers, you know. Let's do something about Village Mart and all that garbage over there. I mean, it's terrible. But if we're back numbers, somebody got to look over something and see what so-and-so is doing to be worried about anything else, and it's wrong, you know. We all have to come together. A town divided will never prosper. I mean, some great name said that. A country divided, and we are divided. Not bad, but
I'd like to just make kind of a quick comment on this because it's been discussed amongst myself, councilmen in the chamber. A lot of business people have approached me about this, and it's really hard to feel the tides when they're changing, you know, when they're changing. And I think we're going through right now, we're on the cusp. We have positivity, we have organizations that are now supercharged with people, we have plentiful amount of people that are showing up to put in the work, and as much as it may feel that way, I think a lot of the division that we feel at times is from a very small group of people. And I truly believe that. I think our town, and I don't mean culturally in the look sense, I mean just the way we act with one another, the way we conduct business, the way we, as a council, as a community, communicate with each other. So I'm with you, and you know, it's always going to be 80-20, right? 80% of the people are going to be positive and care and love the community, and then I think it's even less than 20%. You know, there's always going to be these people. So, to your point, I understand where you're coming from. I lose sleep over it, but then I get to talk with several people that are sitting in this crowd tonight, and we're changing. Old Souls is on the map.
I meet a lot of people. I meet a lot of people in affected places, and I hear different things. But everyone, with the exception of two that I've met, I'm not going to name their names. There's no need. But they're not married to each other either. But anyway, everybody in this town, after you talk to them, they're nice people. We have a lot of nice people in this town, good people. They come in with this is a boiling pot for everyone. And, you know, if you have a stupid idea, keep it to yourself, you know. Or bring it to the council and talk it up, you know. Don't have a stupid idea or, you know, stupid. But I hear a lot. Out there. Anyway, we're just out there.
We're getting it together.
Thank you. Let's keep up the good work.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're fine. Yeah.
Gary Tank from Central Boulevard. First, I'd like you to share what
I agree.
one, I really thought you wasn't going to try and the weeds to make things look better. I used to have a piece of property that I couldn't get to the mow. The city just sent me a bill every 2 or 3 weeks for $40. They're all mowed it. If you look at Summit, I look at Good Food, I don't know what they did over there, but their city was really good. They cleaned up a lot of property. You know, I said, we didn't want to be in reserve. Two, the 9/11 people, years ago, provided those radios to the county emergency. You might have some input there. 3, the Northwest Arkansas Economic Development, I'm sure you've already contacted them. And on the colleges, not the other class, but, and then the cities. That's all.
Have really strong connections. Part of the EDC is actually here for our tourism tour, and they've actually assisted us with questions about ALS building and all that, so that's a really good thing. Thanks for coming. Sorry, Chief.
Yeah, Linda Masters. To speak about the Cotter situation, about how great Cotter looks, about 20 years ago, they partnered with the University of Arkansas, who sent a crew of architectural students over, and they spent 6 or 8 weeks living in Cotter, taking surveys, talking to business people, and then they presented a plan to Cotter of how they should proceed to improve their city. So I'm sure they're still working on that plan, and that might be something that y'all can consider.
You said that to you today.
It was from U of A, yes.
Thank you.
I'll be quick.
Are you sure we can make it go to 8:30 again?
Keep going, what's that, hard time, sir? Just to address this, ordinance, you drive through town, that kind of grass, I really feel sorry for certain businesses that are really nice looking, and right next to them was a particular one that they're in the town, I won't name names, but they literally got old trucks with no tags sitting in there. The grass is this tall, like he brought in, while right next to it, the business trying to find here, their grass is always cut, it looks really nice. That's a big part of getting, people come here and see that. Tourists see, you want, I think the one needs to get passed.
He was
I know
given-
we're working on
he was
it.
given a red tag, and I believe he's coming up on 7 days, so.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's not even something that's really been talked about. So, I really think that's a good thing. And on the town, it takes many years to work to come to where it's become, but there is a lot of us, working hard on getting this going, and we got a lot of, it's gonna happen. Take years for it, it's gonna take years for it to come back, what we're gonna do, and you know that. But my main thing was the grass, it really needs presentable to tourism. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more citizens' comments? Down to mayor's comments. I have, for the budget committee, heard from Jessica, our court clerk, her fees are going up $10 in one of the line items, which is going to be about $120. I'll get that information to you. As far as, we had, one of our aldermen passed away, unfortunately, but, I want to make it perfectly clear, it was brought to my attention that the city shouldn't send flowers, or a plaque or a gift. I advised this individual that I would have to check with the AML, and the AML advised that we cannot do that as a city. Now, what I did was I asked any employee that wished to donate for a flower arrangement, they were able to do that. And that's what the city did. So this was all donated by employees of the city for the passing of Alderman Linden. Was not taxpayers' money. I just want to make that perfectly clear. Okay. Dan Jam coming up September 27th.
Just touch on that, vendor information package went out to all the vendors, we had a few people back out, we ended up adding even more because so many people called because of that, so now we're somewhere around 56, 57 57 vendors. I expect a couple more to probably drop out. We have a couple more action things that we're still taking some things out. Been in contact with the Biker Club, talked to them today, so that's all set, but everything's going along. There will be a pre-jam meeting with volunteers and for everyone who wants to understand what the ins and outs are going to be. It'll be about a week out from that. And we'll have itinerary for the day as well as some more information coming out next week.
And the other thing is, it was brought to our attention at the last planning and zoning meeting that Bel Arco made a statement that they had to, there was federal law that they had to honor Section 8 vouchers. And I Googled it. Does a resort have to honor a Section 8 voucher? And resorts are not legally required to honor Section 8 vouchers. And I asked, does an apartment have to honor a Section 8 voucher in Arkansas? And in Arkansas, Section 8 vouchers are used to assist low-income families, seniors, and individuals with disabilities in securing affordable housing. While Section 8 vouchers are designed to cover a significant portion of the rent, they do not guarantee that every apartment will honor the voucher. So the decision to accept Section 8 vouchers is at the landlord's discretion, and they may choose to rent to tenants who do not have Section 8 vouchers. If an individual for tenants to research and choose rental properties that accept Section 8 vouchers to ensure they receive the assistance they need. So it's not mandatory. That's what I found. The other thing, huh?
Not a federal law, then, like the state.
No, that's on federal law. In the state of Arkansas, so it's not federal law.
Thank you.
Okay. The other thing that I want to mention is it's been a while since Dave Alvarez donated the property to the city of Old Shoals, and one of his requirements was that a plaque be donated and placed on the building down there at the range. That plaque has been completed, and it will be mounted hopefully this week. And Scott is donating that to the city to be placed on the building. Once it's put up, hopefully it'll be before our council meeting. So we'll have a photo that he's got a photo on his phone if you want to look at it later tonight. Yes, sir.
Are you gonna make some sort of announcement about that so people can show up?
I just did on Facebook.
No, you did on Facebook.
We're on television right now.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, we can. I'm not big in public.
Well, as a council, I'm asking.
Oh, as a council, yeah, we can bring it at the council meeting. We'll just make amounts, and then we'll put them up after the council meeting. Is that all right?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Sounds good. I mean, it's really, it's on the cedar plank, 2 foot by 2 foot. Donated by the Alvarez family.
Oh, we like to have people there to see it.
Yeah.
See it done.
So, yeah, we'll put it on display at the, back desk, so when you come in, you'll be able to see it. But yes, it will be mounted on the building, per the request of the Alvarez family. I don't have anything else.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Wow, that was quick. All in favor? Any
Oh yeah, my place too.
Thank you.